Good morning, everybody. Here's Dr. Jacobs, and I've been following Dr. Jacobs, and if you watched my other video, I was talking about how Dr. Jacobs isn't a bot, and as far as I know, he's not a bot. But he's being accused of being a bot by this Medium article, and we're going to have a quick look at it. But first, here's Dr. Jacobs tweeting, quote, "The article by now suspended Jeff Goldberg purports to explain how inauthentic accounts are gaming Twitter to trend Trudeau corruption. It lists my account as one that was amplified by bots. Small problem, Jeff. I've never used that hashtag. Hashtag Canada Poly." And here's Dr. Jacob in here, and I can't highlight this. This is an image, so I couldn't search this document for this either. But here's his listed Twitter handle, and I'm going to get to the article in just a second, but I want you to see this. Here's the Twitter handle. It says retweets 47, and at the bottom of this it says accounts include, and it's got a bunch of accounts, but not Dr. Jacobs' account. And it says vast majority of accounts in this table should have been suspended long ago for violating the Twitter rules. So I don't know why he doesn't include Dr. Jacobs' account in this list, but it's really, I mean, it's very interesting what's being put out as real, because, well, that implies that either his account should be inactive or is inactive, or if you didn't do any other research other than just took this guy's Medium article for gospel, like as true, then you would think that it's a whole bunch of bots, but that's not true. So here's the premise of this video, with all of the Twitter interference, the social media interference, and then the Russia fever since 2016, right? Since Trump was elected, Russia, everybody's interfering in Russia, or Russia's interfering in everybody's election. And my premise here essentially is Twitter is a much more influential and powerful thing, regardless of the bots, regardless of Russian people purchasing ads. Twitter is a powerful, all by itself, with just the tools that Twitter Canada itself is putting into place, and the selective locking and the selective shaping of content that is boosted, et cetera, is a much more impactful thing on our election process than anything Russia could do, or any amount of money an independent nation could spend, except perhaps the United States. If they weaponized all of their military budget to spend on psyops, I mean, that would be an overwhelming psyop. There would be very little standing up to that, because it would just be overwhelming. But and that's my point. It seems that these tools, the more that they get used, and the more that all of the the keywords get known, and people learn how to use SEO and learn how to use memes and learn how machine learning and AI can remove content that they find offensive. My goodness, talk about brave new world. Like, this is a whole other level of controlling the truth, right? Of controlling what is real online, and what is acceptable online, and what is okay to talk about online, what is hate speech online. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So anyway, this is a Justin Trudeau. This is an article talking about Justin Trudeau targeted on Twitter yet again, and it was published September 6th. It says how inauthentic accounts are gaming Twitter to trend hashtag Trudeau corruption. Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has frequently been the target of coordinated, inauthentic behavior across Twitter's platform. Back in July, for example, National Observer's Caroline Orr delved into hashtag Trudeau must go, highlighting that much of the activity surrounding the hashtag was actually driven by accounts tweeting at non-human rates, including about 24 accounts created in the past 48 hours. Hashtag Trudeau corruption. Earlier today, I received an email from a reporter with the CTV News in Ottawa. They were inquiring about whether or not hashtag Trudeau corruption was trending organically. And there's the email, you can see it. I'm not going to read it. After collecting some data on the hashtag, I figured it'd be easier to write a post on what I'm seeing. Below is a network graph representation of 2,892 Twitter accounts that tweeted, retweeted, or were mentioned in tweets including hashtag Trudeau corruption, source data, blah, blah, blah. August 29th to September 5th. And so a couple of things about this data. One, it's garbage. It's an absolute garbage chart. The green is supposed to be real and the blue is supposed to be fake. And this chart is, you can't read this. And you can't scroll in either. And I couldn't find a data set other than these pictures to look at. So it's not like he's got that mapped out well, or if he does have it mapped out, the data of his mapping is not accessible to people. Then there's these charts, these data charts that again you can't interact with other than seeing because they're images. But these data charts with these Twitter names that he's dismissing, right? The vast majority of the accounts in this table should have been suspended long ago for Twitter rules. Well, that may be, but they're not suspended and they're real accounts, and you're implying that they're not. And well, Mr. David says he's never used the hashtag. David Jacobs says he's never used the hashtag. So that's interesting to note, right? There's a post-millennial article on this, and Tom Quiggin introduces it by saying, desperate liberals try blaming Trudeau's unpopularity on bots. Here's the post-millennial. So the post-millennial wrote a response to this. Desperate liberals try blaming Trudeau's unpopularity on bots. Whenever something negative about Andrew Scheer is trending on Twitter, like hashtag sheer weakness, liberals are glad to tweet about it. Yet whenever a negative hashtag about Justin Trudeau starts spreading, the liberals start whining and complaining about bots. The latest example is an article posted on Medium that tried claiming a bunch of people were bots because they had tweeted and retweeted criticism of the PM. Bots again. In a boosted advertisement that had gotten him suspended from Twitter, a liberal activist had again tried to spin anti-Trudeau campaigns as bot-driven. His watch lists include the NCC and election fellow at Spencer Fernando. Sorry if I've got that wrong, Spencer. It's the same claim that was made by the liberal elites after hashtag Trudeau must go and hashtag Trudeau must resign trended on Twitter. Those complaints show a total misunderstanding of how Twitter works and demonstrates a truly undemocratic attitude. First of all, if these hashtags were only driven by bots, why do so many real people tweet them? Why do they originate, in the case of hashtag Trudeau must go hashtag, with real organizations and real people? Why do they just so happen to coincide with a moment when real people would be tweeting about it, like Trudeau must go, trended after further revelations in the SNC-Lavalin PMO scandal, which I'm going to note here, apparently hurt the Liberals not at all in the polls. According to most recent polls, Liberals are way ahead, no problems at all. Smooth sailing, right? Unbelievable. Not a blip. SNC-Lavalin, another ethics breach? Bah, no problem. It's the hair and the socks, right? Okay, back to the article. And everybody's so racist, right? Now back to the article. Nearly every hashtag on Twitter has some bot activity, but notice how the liberals never talk about bots that help push their own anti-Scheer tweets. The reality is the vast majority of both anti-liberal and anti-conservative tweets are real tweets by real people, and some bots just jump on that organic activity. And when it comes to why anti-Trudeau hashtags trend so often, the answer, of course, is that these hashtags spread because Justin Trudeau is unpopular. Social media may not perfectly line up with what most Canadians think, but is anyone really surprised that Justin Trudeau gets so much criticism online? His popularity numbers are pretty terrible, with twice as many Canadians disapproving of him as approving of him, with roughly 60 to 30% disapprove versus approve total. 10% usually say they're undecided. Notice how the Liberals never point out that Trudeau got a far less negative social media reception when he was first elected. What a coincidence that Trudeau got less social media opposition when he was more popular and gets more social media opposition now that he's less popular. Shocking. The reality is that many millions of Canadians oppose Justin Trudeau, and you wouldn't expect that to result in people spreading hashtags that are critical. And you would expect that to result in people spreading hashtags that are critical of the politician they oppose. To blame that on bots is simply incorrect and is anti-democratic because it denies agency to real Canadians when we express our views. And that's the crux of it. It's trying to dehumanize anybody who disagrees with you. That's the insidious part of all this, right? Further than writing an article that is akin to a Glenn Beck back in 2008. Remember when Glenn Beck had the chalkboards and he was drawing the circles and he's drawing the connections, and you do see, I always got a chuckle out of it, right? I used to watch YouTube videos and people would make fun of that. And of course you seek out the source, and yeah, he really did all that, right? Like he was seriously doing that. But this video, or this article is similar. This article is flimsy and just trying to muddy the waters of what's happening on Twitter, and trying to undermine and dehumanize real Canadians, real legitimate concerns with the leader of their country. Saying, oh, don't worry about it, it's just bots who are worried about him. Everybody loves Trudeau. No, that's not true. That's not true. There's a lot of opposition to what he's doing. There are a lot of Canadians, including myself, who believed that he was going to bring transparency and be a better leader than Mr. Harper was. I was desperately, hopelessly, catastrophically wrong. Mr. Trudeau is a disaster, catastrophic disaster. And not being able to discuss it or being labeled a racist or a bot or any of the other things they're throwing against the wall to try and vilify people who just disagree with what Trudeau is doing, well, that's undemocratic. That's not how this works, or it's not how it's supposed to work. Everybody's supposed to get a platform to discuss their ideas. And if your ideas are bad, people walk away and find other people who are talking about ideas they like. That's how politics is supposed to work. But now we're in the age of bots and social media and, well, all sorts of brand new things. So quite interesting to watch. And as I said in my last video, the writ is ready to drop. We're 6 days from an election officially being called, and that's at the maximum. It could be called any day. So, and I've heard the 14th, but I don't know. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a really, really interesting election. So buckle up. Thanks for watching, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.